Namaste, dear listeners. Welcome to the Iowa channel, Ashto Abhi, Oneness in Astrology and Spirituality, bringing in awareness by Abhi. Today we're going to talk about, somebody's asked me, Abhi, please can you explain what Vastu is? What's the importance of Vastu? Now, well, I had a question some time back also regarding Feng Shui. So I'm going to do this podcast on both Vastu and Feng Shui. I'm also going to do the differences between the both. Um, just like how you have milk and cheese, so the cheese comes from the milk. I like to describe Feng Shui coming from Vastu. What does Vastu means and what does Feng Shui mean? I'm sure we've all heard of this here. If not, I'll explain it to you. Vastu means dwelling, and Feng means air. Feng Shui. So Feng means air in Chinese and Shui means water. So it's the air and water. These are the two elements. So Feng Shui means air and water. Now if we look at air and water, the element of air and water, we will discuss this later on. And let's go back to Vastu, the dwelling. So Vastu Shastra is the dwelling. Shastra means science. So it's the science regarding the architectural design of the building, the dwelling, the actual building, the science behind the architectural design and its components, or the materials used and direction and so forth. So Vastu was Feng Shui. Let's explain the commonalities. Now Vastu and Feng Shui are based on these similar principles, which I'm going to explain now. So I believe Vastu Sastra, look, this might be different for everybody, but I know when I first started doing a lot of research on Vastu many years ago, I finally moved out of it. I don't specialize in Vastu any longer, and I will explain as to why. But the origin of Vastu obviously comes from India, many thousand years ago. Um, I believe it's way older, thousands of years older than Feng Shui. And Feng Shui originates from Vastu. Both the Vastu Shastra and Feng Shui practices are based around powerful cosmetic energies. What's cosmic? Cosmic energies means universal energies. One of the major elements in both practices is that it's backed by a mathematical calculation. Now, if you know me, I spend a lot of time speaking about numbers, numerology. So both sciences, they are backed by mathematical calculations. So both practices believe in providing remedies by placing objects or tools to improve energies in the house or in the home. So, for example, placing maybe a Buddha statue, uh, the use of wind chimes, and so on. Clutter around the home is something that both practices clearly forbid. Even if you're not focusing on either or, it's common sense that when you keep clutter at home, it makes you feel messed up in the head. So why would you want to feel messed up in the head? Because when you feel messed up in the head, how can you make clear, concise decisions? So naturally, it's very good to keep your home clean. You don't need to be following Feng Shui or Vastu or whatever. It's common sense. When your place is tidy, you can think clearly. Now, let's talk about Qi and Prana. Now, Feng Shui is created around the flow of energy, and this energy is called Qi in Chinese culture. And Prana means life in Hindu culture for Vastu. So both is the same thing. Pranayama, Prana, Qi in Chinese, Prana means life in Vastu. So both is saying the same thing. Both has been created around the flow of energy in the home. So the energy field, so both practices believe that the center of the home is where all energies combine, and this is very true. The center of the home is the most important part of the home, because if you look at Vastu Shastra and Feng Shui, both uses an 8 compass direction to determine the placement and architecture and 5 elements to attract positive energy. Now, Vastu and Feng Shui, let's explain the differences. I'll try and be very, very quick. I don't want to spend too much of time talking about this because I'll also spend I'll give a little time to discuss why I don't spend so much of time in both. Look, or practicing both. Now, Vastu versus Feng Shui, let's explain the differences that I'm aware of. Um, you know, in terms of principles, Vastu Shastra is based on a science. Feng Shui is based on more of a geographical, uh, more on geographical consideration. So Feng Shui is more of a way of life, and I feel that Vastu is more architecture, the design of the home. So Feng Shui promotes a positive way of life, the increasing the flow of positive energies in the home. And Vastu Shastra is more about constructing a home that is suitable according to the guidelines of this theory being Vastu. Now, auspicious direction. According to Vastu, north is always the most auspicious. Now, for me, I've got my Shiva stone facing the north, since this is the source of magnetic energy. Whereas in Feng Shui, south is regarded as auspicious. And I believe that they say this is because it, since it takes advantage of the fact that the sun moves from east to the west. Now, if you look at colors, the differences between both, when it comes to colors, Vastu uh, clearly states that the walls should always be painted in very bright colors, red, the bright red, bright orange. But Feng Shui is very different. More on very light colors, soothing colors, earthy colors, cream, beige, white. Objects. Let's explain the differences in the objects used. Feng Shui uses wind chimes, laughing Buddha, bamboos, but Vastu emphasizes the use of Tulsi, Ganesha idols in the right direction. For example, the northeast issue. Let's talk about northeast is considered as the zone that rules the mind. This is very true, but according to them. But for me, northeast is more the conscious mind, and northwest is the subconscious mind, the moon. So northeast is considered as the zone that rules the mind in both, according to both Vastu and Feng Shui. While Vastu suggests what to be placed there, Feng Shui says that this corner is governed by the earth element. Therefore, according to Feng Shui, you should place earthly things there. Now, based on my awareness, Bobby, the center of the home, the purpose of the center of the home is to receive the highest quality of energies. Therefore, it should always be clean and have open spaces. In my home, I have my place of prayer, meditation in the center of my home. So Feng Shui, the center is called the heart of the home, a place where all energies combine. And this is very, very true, guys. If you really focus on the center of the home, it's the heart of the body, you will realize that a lot of stagnations that are happening within the home is coming from, or within your life is coming from the center of your home. Have a look at the center of your home and see what energies are there. Now, look, guys, I'm not going to go into home entrances and the directions of the doors and all of that there. I would like to explain why I don't dwell too much on Vastu. Even though, the science is originating thousands and thousands of years. We must remember back in the day, calculating a home or looking at a home, the most important part of the home is the roof, foundation and the roof. If you got a family of 10 people, we need a big roof. Now, isn't it? You need a big foundation, a big roof. So back in the day, the calculations of the roof and the materials, and obviously that time, I don't think there were any rooms. It was just a very open place with the door. When you open the door, sunlight needs to enter the house. So um, the doorway always were on the east, the northeast side, or the northeasterly side, or the east. so that light can enter. Back in the day, they never had any electricity. There were no heaters. Now we've got stove, heaters, etc. So we must remember that back in the day, the people used the science in every building to make the most out of, or to bring the most, or to harness the most out of that house. Today we've got electricity, we've got stove, we've got curtains, we've got technology today. So I fundamentally believe this much from my own experience, that if your mind is kept pure, everything else fits in place. And I'm going to do my next podcast on the dangers of fear, because once there is fear, mankind will create any kind of nonsensical practices and make it true. Because there is so much of fear, mankind will put so much of effort in so many different kinds of nonsensical practices and create a way of life from fear. When there is love, then there's common sense. When there is love, then there's nature's law. When there is love, then the happening from love is in accordance to nature's law, and as a consequence of that, the profoundness of life is guaranteed. And this can be seen in the home front, in the body, in the mind. You'll be able to see that everything is working, the mind, the words, the actions, everything is working together. When there's fear, then we try to blame it on various things. Yes, they do contribute to the movement of energy. It's very important to harness positive energy in the home space. But I feel that the source of it all is still the mind. If the mind is not calm, what's the point of having wind chimes chiming away? What's the point of having a Buddha laughing in your face? These are pointless if the mind is never at ease. Yes, they create a good atmosphere, a good presence. But what's the point if you are never present in the moment? Oh, Jai Shri Ram. So I'm gonna do a separate podcast on the dangers of a silent, the dangers of a mind that is not silent. And it'll be a very important podcast because this will answer a lot of your questions which you may not think of now. But before you even think of it, by just listening to the podcast, it'll answer many, many questions that you've probably asked and never think of. So thank you very much for listening to me. Jai Shri Ram, Om Namah Shivaya, Jai Shri Krishna.